Hey everybody, my name is Mike Jones. I am the Community Land Steward for Urban Tree Connection, and this is our community garden sites. We have Pearl Street in Conestoga, and this is kind of where it all began. Come on, take a tour with me, and I'll show you what we kind of do. This entrance that you see here, where we have our tires, we have our flowers and our shed. This is our 5417 entrance. It's 5417 Pearl Street, Philadelphia, PA 19131. You can always tell that you're at the right place when you see the tires and flowers and our beautiful shed that we had a local artist buy for us. Alright, come on in. So yeah, we have a 30+ year history here at the community garden site. Here is where they started their first children's program. It was called the Veggie Kids, where we had a lot of the community members and their families with the kids come on out and just kind of plant up their own food. We try to continue on that history even now when we're doing our garden here at the community sites, to kind of engage the community, get everybody out and show them how to build up land systems out here in the area. Alright, come on over. This is our Conestoga orchard site. Our orchard was actually the first area that was established within the community site. It was all fruit trees, all built up by the founder, Skip, and community members who are all still here today. To my left here, your right, is our herb box. We have spearmint growing. We have echinacea, which is this beautiful flower grown here. Echinacea growing. We have lemon balm, thyme, and sage. Alright, come on through. I'll show you a couple of fruit trees. As we walk throughout, you'll see plenty. This here is our plum tree. We have peach trees all along here. And we've had a lot of help from our local organization, Philadelphia Orchard Project. They came and helped us prune a lot of our trees and help maintain the general health of them. Here's actually a plum now. One of many. Alright, come on through. Yeah, like I said, this is 30+ year rich history. All of our sites are to help build community development, leadership, our food and land systems, to show people the worth in their own land, their own community. Show people how to get out of the norms of consumerism in the supermarkets, letting people believe that what you see in the markets are how you should be eating and how food should be grown. We want to show you a different approach, the healthier approach, the right approach. Alright. We have our Concord grapevine here. It's about 20+ years old. Grows on its own every year. Vibrant grapes coming out. Can't wait until they all nice and mature and ready to harvest. Alright. As we're walking down, we're actually walking towards Vine Street. This is the 5400 block of Vine, located between 55th and 54th Street. This entrance is also one that you can use. The actual entrance location is 323 Conestoga Way, Philadelphia, PA 19131. You can also use this as the entrance to come on through. And as we walk through, always look for our fruit. This is our partridge on a pear tree, our pear tree, which is doing extremely well as it does every year. You can follow me. Alright, now this is our Vine Street entrance. There's Conestoga Street here on the corner. And Vine Street is this main street that you see here. 323 Conestoga Way, Philadelphia, PA 19131. Alright everybody, welcome back. This is actually our Pearl Street side, and one of the things I wanted you to see is this entrance here, 5460 Pearl Street, and you'll actually see the address in the video. It's located between Vine Street and Haverford Avenue at 55th Street. That way you can see all our different entrances. No matter what side you come on, you'll know where the garden is located. It's kind of a hard spot to see. It's kind of tucked away, but it's a tucked away gem. So come on in and follow us through. All right. So this is our community garden site. This is all the trees that you see lined along here were all planted by Skip and community members when this organization was first established, and we're just keeping it up and rebuilding it back one step at a time. Alright, but we really try to develop as many community-based programs within this organization as well as this site as possible. We want to get the community out. We want to get the community to fellowship, to see the value in the area and where they live, to learn something new, and to learn how to grow and live sustainably, especially in the times that we're living right now, especially with the coronavirus. And one of the things that you may have noticed during this video so far is that I'm not wearing my mask, and that's because I'm maintaining a safe 6 feet distance from my videographer, Ami. I appreciate you. And whenever we do have community members on site, we always try to maintain a 6 feet away distance. Everyone should be wearing a mask. If you do not have a mask or gloves, we'll always provide that for you here. So don't fret, don't be scared. We'll always have that safety precaution for you. We have our hand washing station set up to make sure you'll be able to wash your hands at the start and the end of every volunteer session that we have come out. And then we'll also have a tool sterilization area where once we're using, before use and after use, we sterilize and wipe down all of our tools to keep everything safe as well. And we'll always have designated areas established every time you come on out, so you'll know which ones you can actually pick up to use from the beginning and where to actually place once you're done. Alright? But safety is always first and foremost. Whenever you're walking through the sites, one of the things to always maintain and be assured of is how you dress. You always want to wear clothing that protects you from the heat, protects you from the elements, and allows your skin to breathe. Cotton is always the most preferred form of clothing when you wear out here. You can wear shorts, but we do suggest wearing long pants. That way it kind of protects you from the mosquitoes biting at you. And if you do have short sleeves or shorts on, we have an organic insecticide that prevents you from getting bit from a lot of the mosquitoes and things that are out here. And just so you know ahead of time, that is peppermint oil, eucalyptus oil, and citronella oil. So if you may be allergic to any one of those, always keep that in mind so that if you do come on out, you don't use that on your skin and have an allergic reaction. But it's definitely all organic, all natural. It's something that you can use on your skin to keep all those pesky bugs away as you're out here working. Alright, let's come on, walk through. So some of the things, some of the areas that we'll see, most of these beds were planted up for UTC purposes of giving out food to the community. Everything that is grown here in our community garden sites is given out free to our community when harvested. No one has to purchase anything. We always keep everything safe. We do door drops where we have no contact deliveries to people's drops. And whenever we're setting up to give out in the general public, we always make sure that no food is exposed, no food is out, and that people are able to safely come, pick up a box of food, and keep going without having any contact with people. I'm going to show you a couple of our community garden beds as well that we have. Some of our community members that have been here for 15 plus years gardening, and they're coming back. These two beds here are actually a community garden member. His name is Mr. Mshindi. Every year he comes out to garden and he has a few things planted up here. Most of these beds that you see aligned along this fence line are generally all community garden beds. So if anybody needs a space to garden, anybody wants to learn how to garden firsthand, this is the place where you can come and do it. We'll give you the space to use, give you the seeds as well to plant up whatever you want, or you can bring your seeds of your own and provide you all the things that you need to start your own garden. This is where it's at. Come on out and just teach yourself as well as your family how to grow from the beginning, from that seed to harvest, so that you can use that for generations to come. If we're ever in a situation like this, especially with the coronavirus, you're able to sustain your family for generations to come. You can always have safe food and fresh food to provide to your family on a daily basis. So we have our hand washing station here, where we have our Dawn soap, which is good for the environment. It's not harmful to our plants. And this is our organic bug repellent, which is the citronella oil, peppermint oil, and eucalyptus oil that I was telling you about earlier, that you can kind of wipe your arms and legs down if they're exposed. Try to wear pants and closed-toe shoes if you can, but that'll keep a lot of those mosquitoes off of you while you're out here working. But we have our hand washing station with general instructions on how you should wash your hands. You definitely want to wash your hands for at least about a minute. And there we have the different steps that you can use, always posted on there with a sign that also let people know not to drink that water, because we have a small amount of bleach included in that water to fight off the germs. And this white bucket here, and you can actually get close, is where we have a small amount of bleach in our water as well, and we have some cloth rags inside of there where we clean our tools. And our tools are to your left here. This is where you would pick up your tools here along the fence. You go out on your normal work day or your normal volunteer day or garden day, and then once you're all done, on this side over here at our waist-high raised bed is where you would drop off all your tools. We would do our cleaning here before they actually go back into the shed. And we try to keep that system up at all times to keep everyone protected from the virus, keep our tools nice and clean. And in general, you should always want to wipe down and clean your tools and sterilize them. And you can always do that with just a general bleach water, and that's always good to wipe everything down. But that's our safety precautions here. We have gloves provided there in the center as well for people to use to keep their hands protected as we're working. And always wear your face mask. Alright, COVID-19 is real. Safety is always the first and number one. And whenever you're working out here and you're ever unsafe at any of our sites, whether it be the farm or our garden sites, you can always let one of the leads at the sites that you're working at, let them know how you feel, and we'll always make the necessary adjustments. Because always remember, we're here for you in the community. You're not here for us. We always appreciate the support and the volunteerism, but we're always here for you in the community. All right, so a lot of our beds that we have and any general things that we grow out here, we try to make it make sense. Meaning, what can we provide the community that has longevity, has a good shelf life, and is sustainable food? One of the things that we do have growing here are our carrots. Carrots are a good supply of nutrients. They store well, and they are sustainable food. They're a root vegetable. They help create aeration in the soil. And they're all a general delicious vegetable to eat. We have plenty of them growing out here in Bounty. We have some here. We have some all here. And once they're ready and mature, everything is harvested. We create a wash station and produce station where everything is handled safely and securely. Everything is washed down, cleaned down, and packaged right away. Another thing that we have here is a very common vegetable that people like to eat, high in water content, good shelf life. You can can it, you can pickle it. We have cucumbers, and we have these vining up. We show different ways of vining so that you can build an aesthetic value as well as just helping maintain the overall health with cucumbers. One thing to know is that cucumbers can be easily susceptible to disease, meaning that they're close to that soil, especially when it rains, and that rain washes up that soil, it gets on the plant. Sometimes it can leave disease behind. You can come out and you'll start to see powdery mold or yellowing of your leaf. Now this leaf, thankfully, is only starting to yellow now because it's been covered by most of the other leaves. It's not getting as much sunlight. So this is a healthy plant, but we have hay down on the direct soil to keep that soil from being washed up anytime it rains, and to also give the vining vegetable something to lay on and keep it dry during rainy times as well. And we have recent rain out in the garden, so that helps protect it when we can't come on out. We can walk on through. This over here is dual, meaning we use it in many different ways. Throughout the fall and winter, we plant our winter squash. Now that we're in our spring and summer months, we're planting watermelon. High in water content, it's something common that people get. Good for the summertime, and you can grow a lot in Bounty. So we have our watermelon growing here. We have in this bed, we have some Swiss chard growing. We have some sweet basil growing. we have some okra growing. And we have our corn growing. And you can definitely utilize a small space to grow many different things. It's about capacity and efficiency. So don't get discouraged if you have a small amount of space at your home garden. You can utilize it. Here we have 4 to 5 different things growing in one bed, and everything is flourishing on its own. Nothing is overpowering itself. And one of the things that we try to educate people on is how to grow different crops in one bed and to know which ones are going to work well together and which ones you should try to separate at all times. You have certain crops that are considered an invasive species, meaning that species of plant or vegetable is going to completely wipe out or cover out anything else that's growing around it. And you want to try to prevent growing anything that needs full sunlight, needs space to grow, growing next to something like that, because it's just going to kill it out and wipe it on out, and you won't have that crop to grow for that season. So we try to educate people on the many different varieties of plants and fruits and vegetables that you can all grow in one bed, and they not actually fight against one another in the space, which is also one of the things that we try to promote out here is a cooperative effort. How can we as a community work together for a common goal versus fighting one another for different separate or solo goals? We have our watermelon. We have our sunflowers growing, which are finally producing heads. And people just think that sunflower is just for an aesthetic value. Well, you can actually dry these sunflowers out and use the petals and the sunflower head to actually make a tea. It's a very common tea. It's called sunflower tea. And we make our own using sunflower as well as chamomile as a combination for our own teas here at the organization. So there's so many different things that a general or a common thing like a sunflower seed or a sunflower has, and you may not know it, but we can kind of show you that. Here's our beautiful sunflower, and we have many different varieties growing out, but this is our one, our sun queen growing. You can come on out. In this bed, we have early stage of eggplant, and this is these sprouts that you see here. All early stage eggplant that I had a couple of volunteers come out and support me with, and now everything is starting to show itself, and I can't wait to see how everything will shoot up in the next couple of months. Patience is a virtue, alright? Some things can take a month and a half, 2 months to grow, a lot at a time, and check to see what your different ratio times for things to grow, or germination rates for things to grow from seed to harvest. You can always find that online. You can always come on out here. We can kind of guide you through and give you a general understanding of how long it might take for something to grow. That way you don't get discouraged or think that you won't see your harvest or that it's not growing or that you're doing something wrong. Things can kind of take time, so just have a little patience. We're going to back up just a little bit. Alright, and in this bed, I want to show you how we're utilizing the small capacity of this. So we have some mustard green growing, and we also have collard green going. They grow in abundance, they are good in nutrition, and they're good as a sustainable food to have. Many different properties for it. One of the common things are for people to saute down and just generally cook the green, but you can use this too in a salad. So these are a common pest for our greens. If you see these, there is an organic insecticide that you can use on your plant. It's called neem oil. 100% organic. It's not harmful to your plants, not harmful for you. And you can just add this in with some Dawn soap, which is good for the environment, and some water. Spray these down, and that will eventually kill these beetles off. These are very common that you see on collard green and mustard green plants. And they are very detrimental to these greens as well. So this is another one of our raised beds that we have where we're utilizing multiple crops in one bed. It's called our companion crop system, where you actually plant multiple crops in one system that all kind of work together rather than fight against one another, which is what I was saying, more or less like an invasive species. Like this to our right, which is spearmint. Spearmint is an invasive species, so I wouldn't put that in the bed with sweet basil that we have here and romaine lettuce for this companion system, because that will wipe it out and eventually overshadow all of this, and these wouldn't be able to survive. But this is one of our companion crops. Like I was saying, we have some romaine lettuce that's doing pretty well, our sweet basil, and then we have a sunflower growing. And sunflowers are good for natural shade on more sensitive crops like lettuces. Lettuces are very susceptible to heat, and they will burn out quickly and they will go to flower quickly, meaning they're in their life cycle, they'll start to develop a flower, and once it gets to that point, the leaves pretty much get a little bitter, they get a lot more tough, and they're not as edible. You can still eat them, but they're not as edible as they would be before they get to that point. So covering up with a crop cover like this, or using natural sunlight from sunflowers, is a good way to extend the life of sensitive crops like your lettuces. But that is one of our last companion crops that we have here. We have this one here, we had our collard green system, and then we had the other system earlier where we use our Swiss chard. But this is what we're doing out here. We're growing sustainably, and I'm creating leadership in low-income areas like this one. We're creating our food and land systems to kind of show people how to live sustainably and thrive and get out of the norms of what the consumer is telling you what to do. Live your own life, grow your own way, and just have sustainable food for you and your generations to come. All right. Again, I'm Mike at our community garden site. This is our Pearl Street and Conestoga Orchard side of our Urban Tree Connection. Talk to you later. Happy gardening.